Ladies and gentlemen, pauses, looks around the room tonight. We're not here to gossip. We're not here to speculate. We are here to reflect on something deeper than headlines and louder than applause. Angelina Jolie, a name known across the world for her talent, her voice, her work with the broken and the displaced. But today, the world doesn't just see an actress or a humanitarian. They see a woman of conviction. She made a decision, a personal decision, a spiritual decision. She embraced Islam not for a role, not for attention, but for herself. And the world reacted, some with confusion, some with criticism, but many with curiosity and with respect. Leans in slightly now. Let me tell you something. Faith, real faith, is not about converting headlines. It's about converting hearts. It's not about proving anything to the public. It's about finding peace within your own soul. And when someone takes that step, no matter what faith they choose, it deserves understanding, not outrage. Pauses. We live in a world obsessed with opinions. But this right here is a moment that calls for something more. It calls for maturity, for grace, for listening. Because behind every conversion is a conversation between a person and their creator. A journey of pain, of healing, of searching. And who are we to interrupt that dialogue? Raise his hand gently so whether you're Muslim, Christian, Jewish, atheist. Tonight is not about religion. It's about respect. It's about recognizing courage in the face of scrutiny. It's about standing tall in your truth, no matter how loud the noise gets. That's what she did, and that's something we can all learn from. Faith is a personal journey, not a public performance. Each individual walks a path uniquely their own, shaped by experiences, questions, revelations, and moments of stillness. It is not for others to define or direct. When someone chooses a spiritual path, especially in a world as critical and vocal as ours, they are not seeking validation or spectacle. They are seeking peace, clarity, and connection. Faith doesn't thrive in the spotlight. It thrives in silence, in the quiet moments when no one is watching. We often confuse visibility with authenticity, but true belief is not concerned with how it appears on camera. A person might explore, learn, wrestle with doubt, and find their truth in ways that remain invisible to the public eye. There is no applause in real spirituality, no script to follow. It's messy, it's raw, and it's personal. Angelina Jolie's spiritual choice, if true and sincere, was likely born not in front of the paparazzi, but in solitude, in the moments between fame and family, between the world's demands and her own soul's whisper. We are constantly drawn to celebrity lives, not because we understand them, but because we project onto them. When a celebrity like Angelina Jolie converts to Islam, it shakes people because it breaks the narratives we hold. Some expect Hollywood figures to live in a certain bubble, devoid of spiritual seriousness, but that's a mistake. It shows how little we understand about people and how much we box them in. Jolie has long been known not just for her acting, but for her activism and humanitarian work. Her connection with people of all backgrounds and religions has always been visible. So, this step, while surprising to some, is in many ways consistent with the empathy and courage she's shown throughout her life. But again, it's not for us to write the script of someone else's faith. The world reacts some with anger, some with awe, because it's not just a religious move, it's a cultural tremor. It forces us to examine how we see religion, how we see celebrities, and how we react when the two intersect. Respect transcends religion, race, and fame. This truth must guide our dialogue, especially in times like these. Respect means listening before speaking, understanding before criticizing. When someone makes a spiritual shift, especially in the public eye, it's a vulnerable moment. And yet, how often do we meet vulnerability with venom? The online world is quick to mock, to meme, to minimize, but what it rarely does is pause and reflect. If we are to build a world that honors dignity, we must first learn how to respect decisions that are not our own. Conversion to any religion, whether Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Buddhism, or otherwise, should never be a trigger for hatred or dismissal. It should be a doorway to dialogue, a reason to ask deeper questions. We lose our humanity when we mock the spiritual evolution of others. Respect means saying, "That may not be my path, but I honor your courage to walk it." When Angelina Jolie makes such a choice, she's not asking for agreement, she's asking for the right to live her truth without persecution. The power of conviction can shift cultural narratives. One woman, one voice, one choice. It may seem small, but when amplified through the lens of fame, it can move mountains. Angelina Jolie's conversion to Islam, should it be genuine, is not just her story. It becomes a symbol, a statement, a source of strength for many who feel unseen or misunderstood in their own faith. Representation matters. Visibility matters. When someone with a global platform steps into a new spiritual identity, they bring visibility to a community often marginalized or mischaracterized. They make it harder for ignorance to survive. They create space where silence once ruled. But make no mistake, this isn't about tokenism. It's about authenticity. Conviction is powerful not because it is loud, but because it is consistent. Jolie's previous acts of compassion and solidarity already laid the foundation for a world that embraces diversity. Her faith journey, then, is not an isolated event, it's a continuation of a life lived with intention. And in a world that too often fears what it doesn't understand, that kind of conviction is revolutionary. We must listen before we judge, understand before we react. Reaction is instinctive, understanding is intentional. Too often, we rush to respond before we've truly listened. We scroll past headlines, form opinions in seconds, and forget that behind every public decision lies a human soul. If Angelina Jolie has chosen Islam, she has done so after reflection, not for controversy or convenience, but for a connection that spoke to her spirit. That deserves respect. That deserves space. But what do? We debate, dissect, and doubt. We ask whether it's real, whether it will last, whether it's for attention. In doing so, we strip away the dignity of a deeply personal act. Listening means being still long enough to hear something beyond your assumptions. It means replacing "why would she" with "what must she have felt." It means remembering that judgment is easy, but compassion is brave. The world doesn't need more opinions. It needs more understanding. And understanding begins when we stop trying to own someone else's story and instead honor it. These 5 truths are not just about Angelina Jolie. They are about all of us. Because each day, someone somewhere makes a choice for faith, often in silence, often in fear of ridicule. If we can learn to treat those choices with grace, we become more than spectators. We become stewards of compassion in a time that desperately needs it.